Well, good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Fun Fold Friday. So this is where a chance for us to have a tongue twister to say about the day. And I don't know, let's make fun folds together. So the point of these videos is to show you a fun fold and then give you an opportunity to make it yourself. And then you can post it over in the community group and be entered to win prizes. So it's been super fun to see what you guys are creating. And yeah, because you're taking the card that I make and then you are showing what it looks like with other stamps and other papers and, you know, other ways of imagining these types of cards, you know, different die cuts that I use and stuff like that. So it's super fun to be able to see that. So welcome everybody who's joining in here. I know this was very last minute, so trying to sort out my schedule as I get all of your packages out in the mail. Excuse me. So the goal of Fun Fold Friday is to have it at the same time every Friday. That's what I'm trying to work towards, but we'll see. We'll see how that works. So I appreciate those of you who are on. Hi, Jeanette and Vesta, who saw this as I was going live. So for today's Fun Fold Friday, we are going to make a pocket card, and I'm going to show you a couple of options as we go for ways that you can make it look different. And I'm going to feature the same stamp set that we are using in the August card club, because I think you'll find it to be a really fun stamp set. So, hi Sean. So this morning we are using the Very Best Occasions stamp set. And this stamp set, it really does have all sorts of occasions in it. I gotta fix my camera here for a second. Oof, there we go. Okay, I think we got it. Sorry for all the movement. I didn't quite get here this morning in time for me to be able to adjust it before I went live. So there we go. All right, so Very Best Occasions. We have everything from Christmas to birthday to thinking of you. So many great options here for occasions. So I think that's why they call it the Very Best Occasions. So, you know, love you, miss you, you've got with comfort and love. So good for like sympathy cards. Let's see, it's hard to read upside down. You make my life happier. Sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. So that would be great for like wedding cards. You've got some Christmas in here. So a lot of different occasions. And so I thought we'd use this. So it's a cling stamp set. And we are going to make a kind of a thank you card. So here's our pocket card. So we've got our pocket, we slide this out, and we have our card on the inside. Okay. So let's look at a couple of ways that you can make this card. So first, well, let me show you the paper I'm using. So both designs that you saw are using the Le Shops Designer Series paper, which is all storefronts and kind of bakery and clothing and stuff like that. So you can see there's like buildings on a lot of these. So we do have to be mindful of direction as we're cutting. And then on the back, I really liked these two patterns right here. So I decided those would be great on my card. So that's what we're going to use today. Okay, so we're going to start with our card base is Balmy Blue, and it's 4 by 5, I'm sorry, it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's just 1/4 of a sheet of cardstock. I actually took a card base and cut it in half, and I used half to make my sample, and then this half, that's why it's already cut. But it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So then we're going to cut our Designer Series paper. We're going to need 2 pieces of this, and the first one is 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll do 4 here, and then we'll do 5 1/4, So we got 4 by 5 1/4. And then we also need a square that is 3 1/4 inch by 3 1/4. So we'll do 3 1/4 inch square. So we'll cut those two. Ah. There we go. Okay. So we've got those two for this pattern. And then for our other pattern, I'm going to take the shops here. And I want to get something that has the Calypso coral because I'm going to tie that into the inside of my card. So I think I want this shop on the front of my card. So I need this piece to be 3 by 8. So I am going to start by, I think I'm going to cut 3 right here. I'm going to turn this around. So I want 3 by 8 is what I'm going for. But I'm trying to be mindful of where the stores are as I'm cutting this. So now I'm going to need to cut it down to 8 inches. And this is a 12-inch sheet of paper, so I need to cut 4 inches off. So I'm like, well, I could cut 4 off here. That's not going to work. I might have to do a little bit, because what we're going for is we're going to be folding this in half like this. So I think it would be fun to have this be the bottom of the front of my card. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off at the bottom of this store. Yeah. There we go. And I'll save these, you know, because I can use front or back for something else. And then I got to figure out how much more do I need to cut off because I want to make it 3 by 8. So I need to cut off 1 inch and 5/8. Okay. So we're just going to turn it around and we're going to cut off 1 5/8. You don't have to make it this complicated. You can choose an easier paper. But I just really like that storefront and I wanted to use it on the front of my card. So now I have my piece of 3 by 8 and I am going to score it at 4 inches. Or I could just fold it. If you score it, make sure you go gentle with your scoring because Designer Series paper will crack. So you want to make sure that you're not cracking your paper. And so now look at that. That is so cute to have that for the front of my card, my pocket card. Okay. All right, so we need the piece of cardstock that this is going to go on. And so that is going to go on a piece of 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I'm going to use Night of Navy for that. So we'll do 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. There we go. Okay, let's set this aside and see where we're at with our card. So we'll take our folded piece. I'm going to go ahead and crease it first. And then we'll put this together. This kind of design is also fun to use if you want to include a gift card. You can put that in the pocket of your card as well. Oh, what a cute little storefront. So there we go. We've got our pocket card. And so then for the inside, because I tied it in, I had some extra die cuts sitting around from previous cards I had used. So here's the truth of the matter. I had these 2 pieces sitting on my desk, and they have been sitting on my desk for, weeks, y'all. And I really wanted to use them up. So I just decided, okay, I am building this entire card around being able to use these 2 pieces. I know, it's crazy. But we have a stitched square out of Calypso coral, and then we have a just a piece of basic white that goes on the inside. So, success. I have been able to design a card around a specific die cut. So, this square comes from the Stylish Shapes dies. Yeah, Vesta says we all do that sometimes. I know, you just want to use up what you have, right? Your scraps or whatever. So now I have a place for a message. So there we go. So my inner card is completely done. Okay. All right, so let's return to the outside of our card. So we have cut, we've got our card background. So let's put our 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece on it. And then we need to make our pocket. So there's 2 ways you can make the pocket. So let me bring back the sample and show you what I did. Well, actually, let me cut the square that we need first, because then it'll be easier for me to demonstrate. So the cardstock square that we need is a 3 1/2 inch square. And I'm using the same color as the card base, so I'm using balmy blue here. And we'll make our 3 1/2 inch square. You know, it's funny, Kathy, you're saying you can't wait to find your scraps again. I have to admit, I'm not great about keeping my scraps. So I have some ladies who come and help me with die cutting and embossing and stuff like that. And I actually just give them all my scraps because it's just easier than having to sort through them all. So that's my way of saying thank you for all their help. They just take all my scraps home. Okay, so you've got 2 choices here with your pocket, or 2 choices we're going to talk about today. So the first is how I made my sample card. Let me take this out of the way. So for this one, what I did was I taped these 2 squares together, and then I cut on the diagonal. So what you end up with is a piece that looks like this, that you can then put on your card front, okay? However, you might want to have cardstock border all the way around your triangle. So we're going to do that today. And I have this set, and I'll have a second one when I cut these, and I'll be able to make 2 more cards really easily with them. Okay, let me stick that back in here. So we're going to take both of our squares, and we're going to cut them first before we adhere. And I'm looking at the way that this is taped. So you'll see here, there actually is direction to this paper. So right here, you can tell these are horizontal, and right here, they're vertical. So I am being mindful of how I cut my diagonal. So I want to cut it this way. I actually wasn't mindful. I'll show you again on the sample. My sample triangles are cut 2 different directions. Okay, so now we've got that triangle. Then we'll cut this square diagonal. And I'm just lining up my corners in the track of my trimmer. So much alliteration today. Okay. So now we've got our pieces, and so I'll be able to use both of these for cards. Okay, so I'll set this one aside. But I can now adhere these together. And we'll have the nice balmy blue border. Now, in order to adhere this layer on my card front, I want to be mindful of how my recipient is going to be using this card. So what I mean is, this is going to get taped here, and they are going to be pulling this in and out, okay? Now, I don't know their level of gentleness when they're pulling this in and out. I don't know how many times they're going to want to pull this in and out in order to read the message. Maybe you write something really thoughtful and encouraging, and they want to read it multiple times. So I want to be mindful that this pocket might take a lot of wear and tear, let's say it that way. So I don't want to use just standard adhesive. So I have a couple choices here. I can use glue, or I can use tear and tape, but I'm going to go for tear and tape. So we're just going to grab this, and I'm going to put a couple of pieces of tear and tape, because that way I know this is going to stay attached to my card. even if the recipient takes it in and out multiple times, or they take it in and out at an angle instead of straight out, I'm going to make sure that they get to enjoy this card for a while. So let's peel this off. I got to fold this corner. I went a little long on this corner, so I got to fold that over. And I got to get a little tear and tape here in this corner, so we're going to stick that one right there. I like to use tear and tape on 3D projects, gift bags, things that are going to get, you know, possibly beat up or a lot of wear and tear. Tear and tape is great for that. Glue works also, but glue you have to wait longer for it to dry. And I want to make sure this pocket doesn't move while we finish this live video. So I'm just going to burnish that down, make sure that tear and tape sticks really nice. Now here you can see how I cut it correctly so that my decorations go the same way. If you come back here to my sample card, I actually wasn't being mindful of the pattern, and you can't really tell because of my tag, but you'll see here this one runs vertically and this one is horizontal. So if you're using directional paper, just be mindful of that. I can show you, here's the one that is already taped together. That's from my sample card. And this will be the second one I have. So you can see how they run different. So just really think through your direction if you're using directional paper. Or make it simple on yourself and don't use directional paper. That's always a good option too. All right, so now we're going to take a tag. Again, one of those extra tags I had sitting around. And we're going to stamp it with Balmy Blue. And I'm going to use Endlessly Grateful. There we go. Now I want to tape that on my pocket without adhering my pocket down. So I'm going to do it at an angle kind of. I want it right about there. So I'm just going to turn it over. And now I know exactly where to put my tape. Turn it back over, and I don't have to worry that I have now put tape underneath here, but I always kind of feel it just to make sure there's no adhesive sticking out. Then we're going to take some of our white baker's twine. We're going to tie a double bow. So I'm going to tie 2 pieces of twine at the same time. So I'm just going to fold it over and trim it. So now I'm working with 2 pieces, and we're going to tie them both at the same time. It just makes a more full bow because, you know, the baker's twine is pretty thin. So by tying 2 pieces at the same time, I can make it a more robust bow for my card. So let's see if I can make that bigger. There we go. So you can see here I have 2 strings coming out of each side. So now I'll just trim that. There we go. And we'll grab a glue dot. It's also easier to put your glue dot on because you got a bigger knot in your bow. So we'll stick our glue dot here and fold that behind the knot. So I can put that on my tag. Just cover up that hole in the tag. There we go. And then we'll grab our inner card and we can just stick that right there in the pocket. And so then I could, this could be, let's see, with those little pictures, this could be a coffee shop. There's like drink stuff on the shelves right there. So this would be, I could slide a little, Starbucks card, on top of the card. So I could also stick that in the pocket here. You could, any kind of gift card, but you could tailor with this La Shops, you could, if you wanted to say, give somebody like a Panera bakery card, you could pick one of the patterns that has bakery pieces on it. You can really theme your card to what you're giving the person. But there we go. We've got our pocket card. for endlessly grateful. And here's the first one. This one, I learned my lesson. I didn't cut it quite as pretty to get that shop like really focused there. So we kind of have a little bit of 3 different shops on this one, but it still looks cute that way. So that's our pocket card for today. So I would love to see your version of this pocket card. I will take photos and post this right now in the community group so that you can post your versions and be entered to win a prize. Every week, giving stuff away and mailing you guys out some fun things to stamp with. So thanks for tuning in today for Fun Fold Friday, and whatever you have planned this weekend, I hope it goes great. We'll see you soon.